Peter, would you like to add something? Because we are here now, many of us for the first time in Sofia, first time at the festival. And how did you come to A2Jazz? Actually, it was important for you to implement also sustainability program. You are also one of the leaders in that structure.
Yes. Do we need a mic? No.
For you, never.
Whatever you prefer.
Our main motivation to put this topic on the table here in Bulgaria is that it's absolutely this topic is absolutely unknown and underestimated in Bulgaria, and not only in Bulgaria but in the on the Balkan region at all. So it's also a feedback from our European colleagues like Linnea and from Julie's Bicycle. I had a chance to talk with, and I really believe personally that it's not the future, it's now. So we have to follow the. It's not the trend, but we have to do something about our industry in the region in order to be much more sustainability and much more competitive in the industry, in the whole European scene. So that is my motivation to put this topic and to invite these fantastic speakers. And I really hope that this is not a one-time discussion, but we will continue to make some first steps and then efforts to make our festivals much more sustainable. What we did actually is not very much, and I completely understand that it's doing a separate collection of the waste and waste management and reusable cups for the first time at A2Jazz is a really small step. But unfortunately, our industry in Bulgaria is, let's say, very old-fashioned. And we are still using the instruments and way of work from last 20 or 30 years. So, for instance, last 6 months, since I met Linnea and started a discussion with her, I'm trying to and visited few great conferences in Europe last few months. I started searching, for instance, the reusable fuel because I want also to avoid the diesel generators, which is a huge problem in the industry in Europe at all. So it was a huge challenge. We found a reusable diesel, which is not a biodiesel. Actually, it's a different technology, but we found it in UK for £8 per liter.
Wow.
And we need
What?
5 tons.
What?
£8
But
per
it's not
liter.
that expensive. It's 21 euros. Sorry, it's 2 euros a liter.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So we got an offer from UK for £8 per liter.
What?
Yeah. So anyway, we
Get
also
it from Finland instead. That's where the source is. That's where we get it for Sweden.
we found also that a Bulgarian company, oil company, is doing now experiments with reusable fuel, and their plans is to start the production in next year or maybe 2025. And it's a very positive sign for us that we can collaborate with this company. It's Inso Oil actually, and to collaborate with this company and to force the usage of this fuel in the industry. So this is the path we are working on, and our goals for the next few years. And our dream for a zero waste festival is too far from us, but we're keep working on that. As Linnea mentioned about the instruments of measuring the footprint, we started discussion with Norwegian greener, what was the name?
Green
Martyna?
Producers too.
Yeah.
I will talk about it.
Yeah, Green Producers too, to license the tool for Bulgaria and to implement all the tool for Bulgaria and to start using it in order to measure A2JazZ Festival. And I hope we will get some results very, very soon. We also invited Martyna as our sustainable manager, which is not officially yet because we don't have such a position for now, but we're working on it for the next year, and I hope we will be much more sustainable next year. So this was my explanation why we are here and why we're putting the topic, and I encourage you to research, to communicate with European instruments and colleagues about the topic, and to find a way to be much more sustainable in our industry. So that's all from me.
Thank you. So this is something what we see, right? Bravo. Yes. Thanks for being here, first of all.
And also, I would like to add that we have a fantastic example in Bulgaria, which is actually not Bulgarian experience, but Benjamin is operating in Bulgaria with the Meadows of the Mountains. So he has, as you saw from his presentation, he has a huge experience on that, doing a festival in the Rhodope Mountains. And I believe that we all can take from his knowledge, if he agree, to help in to our sector. So we have a great example in Bulgaria, which is not Bulgarian, but we can make it Bulgarian. So, yeah.
Thank you. So there's more examples, but it's all a process, right? When we heard from Linnea and Nika, yeah, it's like from the 90s, right? You started late 90s, working in Germany, and Nika 2008. So Benjamin, you've been also researching a lot on that. So it's a process, small steps, sometimes needed bigger revolution on the way. And yeah, but why sustainability? I just have one question to you all as well. From my perspective, as a programmer and a promoter, do you have this experience with the audience that somebody is coming to you and saying that, oh, is it too much? Like Nika had this feedback at the beginning, right? But now, after all these years, are the audience, are they coming and ask like, oh, but how is backstage? Is it also green, or is it? Do you feel that there is more discussion about that among the audience, or it was just the same?
Well, for me personally, I believe that if you live in anywhere, wherever your home place is, I believe that at home you also have a clean house, pretty much. You're separating your trash, you're saving water, whatever. You're also making small steps towards minimizing your impact to the environment. So coming to a festival, even though there are 12,000 other people there, it's no excuse to behave any differently, but this is what actually it happens, usually. Mm-hmm. So herd instinct just kicks in, and everybody's then littering and doing things that they would not do if they would be in their own house. So this is one of the things that I paid really a lot of attention to. And I mentioned already before, I think communication with the audience is the key to changes. And I also have to add to Peter's comment, it's small steps. It doesn't matter what you do. You're, as you said, zero waste festival, zero carbon imprint. These are all great in theory, but probably not doable in the next 20 years, probably. But never mind, do small steps. This is what makes a difference. Yeah, our backstages look pretty well. So of course, it's a whole festival story. But I think the key to the mentality change is lead by example. So by showing people that things can be done differently, maybe not what they're used to do. But if you show them or you give them a good example, and if you're persistent with this impact of change, things slowly move to a right direction.
So this evolution and sometimes revolution are good to make. And
well,
then,
I don't. I don't think that we are really revolutionary in this matter. I think it's more a necessity. But yeah, I think leading by example is the best way forward. Maybe Ben can say more about this because. Particularly probably in your environment, if you show the local community what can be done, maybe that also has an impact on their lives, then you can move forward. If there is a wall between you, you're not going to come anywhere probably.
Yeah. And do you experience it as well that the audience, people are more concerned, the audience is coming, asking questions, commenting on these matters, or really they don't care about that so much?
You want to go first?
Yeah, the festivals that you are working with, you work a lot with different ones.
Yeah. So I just finished a survey for. Have you heard about the Diamond League athletics? It's moving around. It's not really sustainable flying around. Like I work with the Oslo-based one that really took a big change a few years ago when they took out their oil sponsor and went to the green. And I did their audience survey.
Yeah.
So already working with the Oya Festival for 10 years, I know that audience expect us to do this. But with the older, more sports-based, more traditional audience, they actually also now expect an event to do something about the sustainability measures. And they're very happy about being able to go there by public transport. They're happy to recycle, and that setup is done for them. And they're very unhappy about the food not being so sustainable as they would expect. So that was a big complaint, was actually that the food was so traditional for a sports event that it wasn't green enough, it wasn't healthy enough, it wasn't good enough, they thought. So they're now used to and expecting. And I thought that was like quite good to see that they're actually now mad about those choices that they always had. And to me, that tells that we have a change in society, and we have to remember we are a part of a larger situation here. It's not only about us as like we are kind of the thermometers in a way, just taking a bit of the temperature in people in our in Europe, and we are all part of the European Union, which is now having very progressive legal development, and in 2025, no new cars can be fossil based. Yeah, so this will affect us. These are the X factors. And if you're not on board on this already, these will be regulations. So I think it's just people are having, your audience have jobs. They're engineers, they're economists, they are probably quite highly educated, I would think. Peter, I think your audience is quite probably highly educated. So this means they have jobs where they are a part of this change already in their society. So they expect this from you. I don't know about your audience. I guess they have high education too.
Yeah, in terms of like the audience receptiveness to it, we find an incredible response that they are very proud to be part of a festival that works on it, that cares, and the just resounding message is like how clean it is, how conscious it is, and how the festival is kind of educating. And I really feel that festivals need to play an important part in the future in being transformational and promoting behavioral change. It's not just about the party, it's about the education, and they can be very powerful tools in part of that change. So yeah, they're really receptive, and it kind of makes us proud to get that feedback from them, and that's the message that they share with new friends that they want to bring to the festival next year. It's one of the resounding important USPs is that we look after the mountain, and that's a big part of our ethics and our principles.
I can also add, I think also making audience part of the solution. So if they already know they're part of a problem, The engagement to the audience and making them part of the solution is huge. It has huge impact on how they see themselves in part of the bigger issue. So I think this is also very important, to engage your audience into this. They feel involved in the things that you do.
Yeah, this, I think that you mentioned, all of you now, very important matters. That first of all, festivals are really like microcosmos, and they can reflect like this larger society or part of the society. I know that there are divisions and different audiences, but it's something. So what we are doing there is very meaningful, and then the festivals also role models for this behavior and this good. Good role models in this sense. Sometimes bad that happens as well. Please, Benjamin.
Yeah, I just wanted to add that I think we'd all agree that the governments aren't doing enough. And on a smaller scale, it's easier with the right leadership and the right visioning. I think festivals can be more of a role model in some way than the governments can be. So. It's pretty interesting to see that change and for it to happen from the bottom up rather than the top down.
Yeah, actually, I remember when a pandemic started and all these governments everywhere actually failed, more or less, or worse and better. They tried to handle the situation. I remember there was big discussion at the time among the cultural producers, organizers, that we should do that. We should take over because we are much more skillful, with handling risk management and everything else. So this is like the funny but sad but true, that it's really like where is something on very institutional part, it's not working, then the
Grassroots.
Yes, exactly, the grassroots initiatives are taking over and then they follow up. So this is really something that it's meaningful, and this responsibility of the festivals is of course huge on us and the audience, everyone. But we were talking about footprints, and I'm just looking at our colleagues from Footprints project, that it's not footprints anymore. But before we go to you and you will present Better Life project, we would like to talk really about some tools which are helpful to measure, because of course events produce a lot of carbon footprint, carbon imprint, and how to deal with that, how to check it, how to minimize, and how to work over that. Linnea will have this special moment now to present, and very informative for us, very practical. So Linnea, could you take from here?
Thank you, Martyna. Can you get my, it's on, yay. So I'm able to talk about the festival a bit too. So I'm just going to do this a bit. So I will ask Nika and Ben to jump on board on I will do it like section by section. And it's all about understanding how you can harvest your numbers. Like how do you actually measure, like where do you get your numbers from? So this is, I was commissioned by the governing mayor of Oslo to do this carbon calculation report for a festival based in the central of Oslo. It does not have any fly-in attendance. It's all based on, it's about 8,500 to 12,000 capacity according to the lineup each day. It's 3 days. Massive Attack, the band, was supposed to play last year, and they asked for a CO2 calculations report being done, and they connected to the C40 network. Do you know it? It's a city-based network of 40 cities plus, working on sustainability across, I guess, the world, Western world, and Europe. So that's why the governing mayor said, "Oh, we need to." Actually pay. We will pay for this. Great. So this is a bit about the backgrounds. Like I just said, it's in the park. It's in the central of Oslo. It's 2 stages. It's not a big lineup, so it's quite lean already. Not having 130 bands. It's it's more like 5 or 6 bands a day. It's a focus on rentals. They reuse and they use second-hand throughout the festival, but also the traders that they have. So they have, traders selling clothes, but it's actually it's second-hand. And have quite a big offer of vegetarian food, but it's only accommodating their audience. It's not because of a conscious decision or a strategy. It's just being conscious about who your target group is, who is paying to get in here. So you see, the audience is actually having power, no employees. So this is the Green Producers tool, which I used when adding all of these numbers. It's like basically a big database. It works with festivals, film production, with TV production, with like the opera stages, and it has more than 3,000 lines of factors. So it's very extensive at the moment. It's been developed by actually Ukrainian developers in a company called Innocode, which is Ukrainian and Norwegian. So it's the Green Producers Club. It's also a club, is a network. And they want to make, this is Norwegian teaching at the moment, they want to make sure that the cultural sector will cut its emissions by 55% by 2030. So it's aligning with, all of the targets that we are all a part of. And we know Ben already did this for some of the areas that is in. So the main findings in this report was that the aviation transport of the artist is the single biggest source of CO2 emissions. The audience transport, because we heard, Massive Attack commissioned a report by Tyndall Center for Climate Research Change. Anyone knows it? It was launched, I guess, last fall or even 2 years ago, maybe. So there we see that the audience in Britain is very much making up the emissions by events. But in Oslo, because it's electric, people are living close, they're not commuting far, buses are electric, trams are electric, the metro is electric, trains is electric, it's only 3.6% of the total emissions. So, and this was my thesis when I met with the management of Massive Attack. I said, I don't think this goes for Scandinavian cities. Food and beverages. I've been, doing research on these numbers since 2007, measuring, but I never measured food and beverages. Finally, I had a tool to measure it, and I had to call up the scientist and say, I think there's something wrong with your calculations, because it's so huge compared to other areas. I was very surprised. Beer has a factor of 1 per liter. So if you sell 20,000 liters of beer, it's 20 tons. Exactly. Thank you, Nika, for calculating. So also the emissions for generators, even in Norway, we have the accessible biodiesel. It's 10 tons of CO2 that is not needed. They even had the finances from the government of the city to connect to the grid, but the bureaucratic decision was so slow, it was not put in place. So making this report, I used a carbon calculation method of the greenhouse gas protocol, talking about the scope 1, 2, and 3. And at the moment, the Green Producers tool don't give you that sections, but I will explain it to you. It's done like this. So scope 1 is your own direct emissions. This is where the city of Oslo, when they say we will cut 55%, they mean the scope 1. So it's very easy to be zero for a Norwegian festival, because it's the energy and it's coming from the diesel generators and the gas for cooking. And it's the emissions from rented production vehicles like cars, minibuses, and machinery. And to be honest, hello, no worries. It's Siri explaining. So for Oslo, 80% of the new cars being sold last year were electric. We have non-fossil building plants already in the construction industry. We were talking about early in the break that we are a part of the whole society. We're not like our own unity, so we are basing ourselves upon the infrastructure that already exists. So cutting these emissions are actually feasible. The rental companies have now minivans and minibuses that are electric. The diesel generators can go out. We can connect to the grid. The gas for cooking, it's going to be there probably, but maybe somebody can harvest it from the, then we'll harvest it from the manure. And then the scope 2 is the electric vehicles that were existing in the mains power. These are indirect already. And then scope 3, we measure the audience transport, artist flights, the 10 biggest supplies, transport of goods and services and other relevant transport, as well as purchased and rented materials and the life cycle analysis. My thesis there were that because we rent it, it's very low. And it was, so it's too much work for putting into it. Doesn't really matter. If you don't have 100 hours to do it, you don't have to. If you rent it, it's not a big deal as long as you look into the transport. And also, all of these suppliers are also supposed to help you solving this. It's also their direct imprint, you know. So here you see how important the stakeholders are, like the dialogue, how important all of your suppliers and your sponsors and your people around you are. Waste management we looked into as well. Also the sewage and the bottle refund. And we have portable toilets here. There's no sewage connection. But in Scandinavian, I don't know why it's chemical in other countries, but in Scandinavian portable toilets, it's an enzyme being used. It's not chemical waste. So actually the plant, because it's emptied in the sewage plant in the municipality, they were happy when festivals empty because the process are much quicker because of the enzymes breaking it down. It's already, and I think it's Greek or something. It's like it's from the Balkans, so I don't see. So this is the total emissions. It's about 112 tons. It's 4.4 kilos emissions per guest per day, and accumulated it was around 25,000 people there in total for the 3 days. So you see 50% of the total transport is, transport is 50% of the total, food and beverage nearly 40%. So those two are the biggest areas. Energy, yes, it's the generators, nearly 10 tons. Recycling and waste, only 3 tons. And this means this festival actually did much more than they were able to understand because they reuse and give away and store things. And they don't have PVC banners, they use it. Again, this is a commercial festival. They just try to use common sense and being really resourceful when they use, because it's they don't have that much money actually. Norway is expensive. So energy, we saw that mains power only 0.6%. Like although it was quite a big part of the energy of the festival, and it's possible to cut it because of the generators. I already told you that. Rental vehicles, they could say 1.5 tons of CO2 just to exchange the rental vehicles with electrical ones. And also in this transport, the scope 3 is a part of that. And it goes like this. Transport of people is about 77%, and the equipment and goods were nearly 23%. So this means here we can do quite a bit of work. And we see here is the number again broken down, and it's also because 44% walk. So when I see the amounts of cars coming to your venue, Peter, I'm thinking people really should walk, use the tram. There's a tram stop, there's giving them, like Nika says, they're a part of the solution here. Why it's congested, it's stressful, don't take your car, really. And compared to the numbers from the UK, this is far less than what is the normal attendee emissions. And we saw from Ben, the flying is, of course, even here, the big numbers. So in transport of people, we saw it was 77% of the total emissions of transport. Aviation, that's only the artists, is 90%. And that's not a lot of people, you know? So it means that choosing maybe instead of having unknown international artists flying in, you should have somebody known from your local community maybe, or that doesn't need to fly. And even these flights were short distances. It accumulated to this big, yes.
Can I just add as well, there's other methods of transport outside the train, like there's a European movement called BlaBlaCar, which is car sharing, which is huge, and just people coming in their camper vans or their vans, even hitchhiking. There's so many ways that you can get around without the plane or the train, which like you can see from the stats way less emitting than the train itself. So trying to promote that culture of people coming in a van with a load of friends, or using car sharing or carpooling as well.
Definitely, and it.
The artists, so they are.
Yeah, the artists are the big.
Usually, and they have to not waste days. I mean,
Yeah.
how many organizers will pay 3 nights for the accommodation in order to keep them in one spot?
But just
there?
remember, they're flying very short distances. It's not a big deal if they took the night train from Bergen to Oslo. So it's already a cooperation.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Speak about international.
I understand, but these are international doing short distances, actually. Yes.
When you are on tour, I am a touring artist, and
Yeah.
you carry 35 kilos
Yeah.
of equipment.
Yeah.
You cannot do, what do you say?
A car
Like
sharing. Carpooling.
Hitchhiking.
Yeah.
You were speaking more for the audience.
Yeah.
You have to be on time. I mean, car sharing.
But we saw like how use of nightliners actually is more beneficial than flying. Even
and
short.
you.
Yeah. But instead of flying 22 people in your crew, maybe less.
You mentioned.
Actually, this is about
Yeah.
about the nightliners. It's very good and it's very efficient, but it comes to the management and the way of touring the whole band, for instance. So,
Absolutely.
So it's not coming from the promoter. If we, for instance, Bulgaria was a big market proposing 10 or 15 or 20 days for a band, we can say yes, but we need a nightliner for the band and for the crew, and because we here in this country we're sustainable and we want to make a sustainability concerts and shows. So and we are going to put 1 or 2 or 3 million euros for this tour. So and they will say okay, no problem. So but if you have single show in Bulgaria and then in Serbia and then in Turkey, for instance, it's very hard.
And this is where you have the jazz concept of footprints, right? I'm in the board of Oslo Jazz Festival, so I know it from there.
Yeah.
So this is a way to tackle it, and we have to cooperate. And of course, it's about the social sustainability of an artist, even the technician that has to rig down afterwards and carry all of the equipment and needs to actually rest before they are rigging up again. It's about treating people in the right way, and also understand that is a part of the money.
Yeah, and
flow.
may I reflect also, Linnea?
Yeah.
Because this is something very important that it was recapped a bit earlier, that here you should not compare, right? That this
Exactly.
is something like every festival has this individual specific in every country, every region, and every city even.
Yeah.
Like we come from a smaller town in the Netherlands, but a town that has so many festivals, different ones, and we all struggle with different problems. So I think that this is really important to remember that every festival has different problems, different audiences, right? Different means of dealing with this topic. So this is one example, and these suggestions are always good. And sometimes it's really a lot of struggle. Well, we are here, like Linnea is on the board of Oslo Jazz. We are here some of the jazz festivals, like from Belgrade and Athens, Berlin, Istanbul, Maastricht in the Netherlands, the venue from Lyon, and we also have this tool that is called EJN Green Touring, and we can do that. And we tried. There was the second call right now. Oh, there is also our member from Skopje now, Shuba. So we have this tool. This is very new. And we tried, and the second call was already more successful, so we are getting there slowly, but still it's a lot of discussions, like shall we really, because the ideally is to do it by train, of course. And that has to be 4 tours minimum. 3 of them, they have to be organized by EJN, by Europe Jazz Network members. 1 can be different, or more can be different. And A2Jazz is also part of this movement. But in practicality, of course, it's not that easy. Because indeed, about the equipment, instruments, double bass, and then in the end, I think that we end up always with a car or van. But, you know, we are getting there, and we know what is the priority. So we also were part of the EJN Green Touring this year, and there was an artist with very small baby, so it was really very difficult. You know, tuba and baby. So in the end, yes, yes. So it was in the end very difficult, but there was also the car, the green car. So that was at least in this sense. So everybody's trying their best, and festivals, venues, artists are involved, because sometimes I think that we also get there that it's so much responsibility of organizers, one, but even so much more responsibility of the artist. And then they really like struggle with that. They want to do their best, but everybody's coping.
Definitely.
Yes. Balázs,
yes.
you want to say something?
Incrementally, like for example, in the foods calculation, it's probably not all incremental. People would eat and drink anyway, and they are eating and drinking here, but not somewhere else at the same time.
Yeah. So basically, you will have a lower footprint attending a festival than staying at home. This is the numbers.
This is the truth.
This is the truth. So I can move on, but I just wanted to say about the transport. We did this for the Swedish festival, and we had 3% of the audience flying into. We did a very thorough survey of audience travel, and they make out 66% of the total emissions of the transport part. So it is different. Like you will have a bigger aviation footprint if you have more content. So having low, like a suitable content for your festival or for your venue, and just trying to program it in the right connections. If you are flying, it's better to fly direct with a full flight on economy, right? During daytime, because what is actually affecting our climate the most is not the CO2 emitted, but it's the condensed stripes, and it's heating up the atmosphere more. And also, it's possible to buy sustainable aviation fuel. There are schemes doing that. So it's not that you should never fly again as an artist and feel shame about that and have worse work conditions. It's about better planning and also maybe better economic systems around it, that we have to improve those. But then talking about food and beverage, you see 75% of the emissions. These are the 40 of the total, right? 75 are from beverages, and it's because we sell a lot of beer at festivals, right? And there's wine as well. And to me, it was surprising. And the range of, although the brewery, like the beer was made, came on 3,000-liter tanks from 13 kilometers away only. The distances in Oslo are quite short, so it's because of the input to the beer. It's not grown in Norway. It's probably grown in, I don't know, Ukraine. The grains that is being used, it's not from Norwegian fields. So this is why. Also, even the catering was quite a lot of demands were vegetarian and vegan, but we see that vegetarian dishes, of course, have a lower emission than dishes containing red meat, but the dishes containing a lot of cheese, like the vegetarian dishes with halloumi or similar cheese, actually has the same level of emissions as the dishes with fish or chicken. So
this is really eye-opener, you know. That,
so I was whoa. It doesn't really help that we changed the whole menu to vegetarian because it's the same emission. So it's like, again, finding the local solutions. If you are doing, instead of avocado, use pea, like for the Nordics, for instance, or make your hummus with something with local ingredients. Here, it's a different story. You have a vast majority of amazing produce, which is different from the Nordics. In the waste section, it's only 3% of the total emissions, and this is because people don't live here, right? So they just come in, they hang out, and it's already washable cups. It's already not really a lot of single-use anything, but they were really bad at sorting their waste. In Scandinavia, there is no landfill allowed. So there is no landfill at all. It's being incinerated and used for energy, or it's being recycled. Sometimes sent away. So being, following your streams is important. But it is a hygienic factor, basically. If you don't have this sorted, it will look crap and people won't like it. And the waste makes up to 300 grams per person per day, which is quite low. I think in Norway, the daily rate is about 1.6 kilos. So this is why I say it's lower than normal. So the key findings are, firstly, artist mobility, a closer booking cooperation with other Scandinavian events in the same time period to have less travel by planes to Scandinavia, and consider, like, yes, they have to come in, but then from there, like, how can we do it more smoothly within our network of festivals? Consider booking local artists instead of unknown international acts, like I said, but how do you introduce new talent outside and get the input? Well, it's another discussion. And then consider the amount of artists. Sorry, Nika. You have a lot of content. Transport of goods and audience. Make sure that the rental vehicles are electric or hydrogen-based instead of gas or diesel vehicles. Encourage the audience even more clear to walk or use a bike. The 4% that uses taxi or their own car emits 1.5 tons CO2, so it's not necessary. It can be avoided. Well, even though the taxis are electric or we don't want that extra traffic. Well-coordinated transport and deliveries of goods and equipment will also save a lot of emissions because big trucks coming in, that can be made more. I interviewed all of the truck drivers, so that you can imagine me coming up to them saying, "Hello, where did you drive from today?" My husband is smiling, that's good.
I see that Marika, would you like to comment?
You're talking quite big names. I wonder if it's not a free festival, is it?
No.
So, I wonder if you book local artists and will you still sell as many tickets?
There are local artists as well on the lineup. I don't book this.
When I talk about artist mobility, yes, would that still be attractive enough?
Sure. We did this test at Rosendal Garden Party where I actually work, and it sold out. So it actually got, the increase was 50% with the local day. Yeah, but it means that you always have to have some kind of local talent, I think, to build the next new names. And then you should invest in your local talent, not the international talent that nobody knows about. So I think we also have a responsibility as a community to build the next names, but maybe do it in our own markets. Okay, I'm not a political person here. You have to decide, but I think that makes more sense to build up local talents at local events, and then they can rise to the occasion. The last measures to recommend is more vegan and vegetarian dishes and dishes with lower amounts of meat and dairy. So it's not about cutting out meat and dairy completely if it's not up to like a strategy that you have, which is also fine, but it's about cutting down on it. And we use a Diet for a Greener Planet, which you can Google also as a measure as well. And here, because it's the governing mayor asking us to do this report, we gave them a few ideas on what to do. And it's all about, actually, this festival doesn't receive any money from the government, but it's about, instead of giving funding, it's actually about giving better infrastructure and help. That will actually save quite a bit of money that can be invested into cultural content and better content. So the money being saved from better infrastructure can be used in different ways to actually build a better experience. And regulation that they are now planning to implement should be followed up with necessary help and coordinating. So instead of just, we are expecting quite a bit of regulation, then they should follow up with workshops, with building, a community, by investing in the knowledge of the sector for it to actually be able to do this, not only oppose the regulations without anything. So it can be measures to reduce the CO2 emissions. They should help with that, following up on enhancing knowledge and competence, like I just said, and investing in better infrastructure and other fittings that can help save money, so to make it more smoothly. But then again, you have to think of, I think, like the 10 most important things that your local community can provide you with that is realistic, to also give them a role to be a part of the solution. So these are some thoughts.
Thank you. Yeah. Thank you. Wonderful.
So what do you think?
There was a really, again, very solid research. And there is something that we also can learn. I mean, for me, it was an eye-opener, definitely. The halloumi case, Now I think that we are all feeling, but
I didn't like
this
that.
is, the feeling of guilt, opens. But but this is really something that sometimes we think that we know something about the sustainability and we learned, but I think that there is, again, process for us. And there are more and more data collected, and then again, it's very individual. So I just wanted to ask some festival organizers how you dealt with that. Balázs, Bojan, like how did you think about that, or what do you want to?
My name is Bojan, for those who don't know, and I organize several festivals in Serbia, but I'm thinking, is there any, as you know, the whole European structure, is there any pressure from the top? Because we were speaking from the bottom to the top, it's much better. But then the trains in the Balkans, this is the major issue for you as well. I mean, how would people come by train? I mean, you offer the tickets, you can offer a few hundred tickets, but how they would come? There are no trains from Ljubljana and Zagreb to Belgrade. There are no trains from Budapest to Belgrade. So, I mean, they should come to Budapest, to Belgrade, and to Sofia, and spend 3 days on the road in the train, which are usually dirty and terrible.
And always
I mean, it's a problem. So the first question would be, is there any kind of pressure from the European Union? Come on, make these trains working. I mean, the Chinese are making this Budapest-Belgrade train, which will be 2025, hopefully.
It's the European Green Deal, and it tackles a lot of these areas where we need a change. I don't have all of them in my brain at the moment, but I can give you some links and you can read more into that. But of course, that's a big challenge. And I think what you're doing now is very clever, because it's looking into what I just said and translating it and finding where are the barriers and what can we.
Belgrade.
Yeah.
It was working in the old days. Now nobody's interested, because from Belgrade to Ljubljana by train you need 9 hours. And then by car it's 5, even with the border. From like Belgrade to Sofia, I think it's the same. I mean, it's ridiculous. It's slow, of course. But then maybe some people would use it if there are trains going on. There are no trains. So if you want somebody for Ljubljana, it's either by car or by plane. So this is one of the issues. But then we are doing what Martyna.
Yeah, I wanted to answer that because I think there needs to be pressure, again, not from the governments, but from the festivals. I think there needs to be a super network of festivals all saying, come on, train companies, let's work together. You buy a ticket and you go around all the festivals in Europe on one ticket. But, it needs to be more innovative ideas on us putting pressure on them, because I don't think the government's going to do it.
European Union, because this is international. It's not that government of Serbia or Croatia or Hungary can do it. I mean, they may
But
say...
the European Union is only going to do it if they see a benefit in this. We would obviously see a benefit in this. European Union, they don't really care about getting people transported to our festivals, you know what I mean?
But I mean, they can also travel to the seaside, and I mean, there are a lot of people from Turkey,
I think
Bulgaria, Serbia living in the West, so why should people come from Glasgow in a car? I mean...
No, I know what you mean, but I think it's more like a long strategy goal, while we are here really dealing with these issues. We have the same issue. It's, in Slovenia, train is like super slow. And it takes ages to come anywhere. So I think this is more like if we want to solve something in next, let's say, 5 years, I think this is more a way to go. While I don't think that for example, like train network in Balkans, I didn't see it in any plan or schedule
but
or
I think
something.
if you don't raise, this is a point where you can raise your voice, because if you don't tell anyone,
me and friends of mine doing festivals raised this a little bit, and then there was this plan, okay, we're going to do this part of the train transport with the band, and the bands will play from Hungary, but then at the end it was like 20 kilometers of the railroad in Serbia where they can manage to this, so it was filmed and it was pressure, but I think this kind of general cooperation might be helpful. I don't know if the Chinese would really react to it and make the railroad faster. But back to your question, I mean, we are doing quite a small festival, and as we are distanced, so I'm thinking of sometimes most of the artists are coming by plane, even some are coming from Vienna or not. So, but also you have to figure out that many artists who are on tour or international, they don't have a van or car transport. So you either hire some car or you bring them by plane. And then I see, of course, the reducing of plastics would be the good. My question would be about plastic bottles. Is this only recyclable? Or there are another ways that we bring this, because this is, I mean, to the artist you cannot give glasses or carbon.
No. Can I, by the way, can I ask
about
for
the
the
refund system
picture?
to have it work?
There are these pictures.
This is recyclable, so this is a solution, I think. It's okay.
It's about keeping the trash in the loop, basically, but of course avoiding it. But it's
because in Serbia this is still all in theory. I mean, there are plans to separate waste, but still absolutely undoable. Even that started like 10 years ago, that you are going back, giving bags to split the stuff, and like every week somebody will come to collect this stuff, but that stopped. So I mean, that's completely challenging. It's challenge for everything. So I understand. Okay, we may try as a festival, and also with the venue which we are rented. Okay, let's try to build and organize volunteers who are going to pick up all the plastic bottles and glasses after the concert, put in one, and because there is somewhere to be recycled.
So that's what you did, basically, building your own loops.
Yeah, and I think wherever possible, to try and eliminate single use is the way to go, and the only way you can do that is to bring in the reusable merchandise, and as well, if you can find mains water that is drinkable, because obviously the main waste comes from people buying bottled water, but if there's...
Tap water will be fine, so it's okay. I mean, but still, as this is a festival, no glasses in the audience is allowed because it could be ridiculous. So it has to be cups.
Yeah.
Cups can be carbon, but the bottles cannot be. I mean, when you bring for the artist, if you put them in glass, it's dangerous.
But you can ask the artist to use the same system that the audience uses. Just go and fill up their water from the tap.
Yeah,
I think.
Yeah.
I think, going into dialogue in the advanced process when booking is a great idea. Also to look into the equipment that is needed and what is, coming. Although I know technical engineers like to bring more stuff than they are supposed to, then because it's a good idea. I'm looking at my light designer husband always bringing more gear than necessary, just in case. It's about trying to not overuse, but also go into dialogue with the whole band and the technicians to find the best solutions. And you have to do that in the advanced process to make better plans. And I think artists and technicians are often left out of this conversation because we have it in this kind of room, but there's no really always, there's an artist raising her voice, and there was another one last night. But this is not only for the organizers to be a part of the decisions here.
This is the general issue. So I would wonder with Benjamin, have you been approached from any of the festivals in Serbia which are also based in the field or in the mountain, on the private property or not, about your experiences already? Because I know few of them are happening already for a few years, so I think your experience could be really nice.
I think I met one of the organisers of Exit Festival at ADE conference in Amsterdam, and we were conversing on kind of festival strategies, but obviously Exit is much bigger than...
Completely different, they have to, I mean, this is the big festival like MetalDays are, so they can organize themselves, but they're like small.
Yeah, but what is Exit? It's like 100,000?
Yeah, it's similar.
10,000 plus. For me, it's the same system. You don't have 10,000 attendance for sure. I mean, there is just a festival last week called Fields, Polja. The guy got it from his grandfather, the field. It's 80 kilometers away from Belgrade. I don't know, I haven't been there, but I mean, he should talk to you with your experience. There is also a festival in the mountains happening somewhere in the open air, in the nature. So this kind of events. So
yeah, I mean, I just something that came to my mind when we were having this conversation is we have these tools for measuring and collecting data, but there should be another tool, almost like an Airbnb-esque tool of different festivals collaborating on different levels, like whether it's like on an artist level or a transport level, and you can kind of click on a festival and see what their needs are and what that cross-pollination and collaboration could be. But there needs to be a connecting tool for festivals where we can all connect and help each other a bit more. But
yeah, that would be great actually, because now we are doing a bit like guerrilla, you know, individually. We are all friends within the JazZ network. So then, you know, we have this quick phone call with Balázs, with Milica, you know, with everybody. But it's really more like this kind of individual thing that we are just jumping and doing something without structure. So
we are developing a European festival group on green issues. We have it established already. But it's about how we can connect more people to it, and these are some good ideas. I was thinking the same when you said, does anyone know somebody working with Interrail? Because this is exactly what we need, like a forum like this. Oh, Facebook, but let's not go there.
Yeah, like,
but
it's like a festival hive mind, where we're all kind of feeding into...
Exactly, and that's why we launched this tool with the roadmap, but there is also a lot of other tools in the Europe site, and we do have the meeting places that we can, develop even more throughout the calendar. And I'm now thinking about like who do I know that is in the train system that could, help out. But it's definitely a good idea to cooperate. And you have your JazZ network and so on. So it's about connecting the hubs.
Yeah, this is definitely so. Communication and education, connections. We are all in a way, and now I'm also happy to be here to meet new people, to meet these fantastic speakers, because we are just heading slowly to the end. So we have another panel session at 3 with our presenters. But maybe just time for last. I know that Nani, you wanted to have you wanted to ask or comment on something.
Develop a network of festivals to do a block booking of artists, especially when you're talking about international artists, because I play a lot in Europe and it's mostly about a one-off concert. I usually ask the promoter, would you be able to help me to reach out to other promoters so we could book extra concerts? It almost never happens, rather than when I play in the States. Their networks are amazing. Like I'm going to play in September at the North Carolina Folk Festival and at the Library of Congress. Like there was only 2 gigs, but out of the context from these 2 gigs we managed to book a 23 dates tour because they have networks. They really support each other. So the Library of Congress introduced me to the National Council of the Traditional Arts, and from there to the American Folk Life Center and to the Kennedy Center. So all these things are like coming out together in the same period. I really wish we had something like this in Europe. And I, as an artist, I would love to contribute and help in any way.
But there are networks like this.
Yeah, I think that there are different ways, like more or less individual or more structured, indeed, like Europe Jazz Network, that we do that, with the EJN Green Touring, we do that as well, because this is something that we have to apply together officially, and we have to sign, and dedicate ourselves, but I'm sure that there are different, also festivals around the same time. I'm always in touch with Skopje. We are always, like with Bozar, we are doing that. So I think that it's working, but sometimes, of course, there are some agendas or some venues that plan much in advance, some festivals that plan a bit shorter in advance. So these are all the ways to do that. So
Maybe one more thing to think about is the fee in terms of travel allowance that the festivals are offering. Maybe that could be changed with like mobility grants or something like that, because a lot of times the festival would say we can only afford up to, 300 or 400 euros per person for traveling. And then the train tickets, unfortunately, are too expensive. It should be the other way around.
But that is... Several Norwegian and Swedish festivals and Danish are doing that, so they give larger travel fees for bands playing using public transport.
We had actually even an opposite problem with the festival, that we offered the train tickets, but the artists refused. Yes. So that was we even wanted to buy this first class and very expensive period, just to be more sustainable, because in Amsterdam and Nijmegen, you just get off your plane, you get to the train, and you get off at in the hotel. It's really no, it was. We offered,
It must come by train, and then they booked us excellent train tickets, and that was really doable. But that was again a one-off concert. So when it's like that, it's so easy to do. When it's like 4 concerts at the same time. Like now we've done a tour in Slovakia, Czech Republic, and Austria, and we had 4 concerts, and I just rented a car, and then we just drove around because that was doable. It's like 2 or 3 hours driving per concert. But like if I have to travel to Nuremberg, like from JazZ I had to go to Bremen to Nuremberg, that's 12 hours by train. So like we arrived there at 3 o'clock at night and we have to play at 11 in the morning.
So that's the reality, sometimes, unfortunately. But is there any other very last question, just to our speakers, Peter?
I just want to say something which I put on the table in Tallinn when we in the sustainable panel there in Tallinn Music Week. The major problem actually is that even if we don't use these services like flights, like everything we already discussed, it doesn't mean they doesn't exist. So the other thing we have to do as a festivals is to promote this, let's say, new age and new way of living, and to push the industry to find a way to be much more efficient and much more sustainable. So this is our as a как се казва, public
spread awareness, public responsibility,
Festivals as a public entities with thousands of followers, we have to support this push to the industry and the politicians to make the transitions much more quickly than they are doing, and they are planning to do it, because the money are first and then the action are coming.
Yes, exactly.
But in this situation, we have to turn the trend, and first the action and then to think about the money.
And just to add there, Peter, I think what's interesting is with JazZ is you had the time to do this audit and this report on what effect A2Jazz had for Sofia, right? And that's what the politicians see. They see the money. And festivals are an industry that make money for all the cities, and wherever they go, it generates its own local economy. So maybe that is a way for them to see that by helping the festivals and helping the transport between the festivals, it's only going to create more money and more opportunity wherever they are. So maybe that is a tool to be used, is to do this research on what the festival does for the local community, and then they see the numbers and then they want to help.
And that's what we're doing now this year with the...
Or bring the mayor to open the festival.
Sorry?
Bring the mayor to open the festival.
She wasn't in Sofia. We invited her, but anyway.
You can have ours. No. You can have ours always coming.
So shall we recap? Shall we just talk a bit more while having a drink? Is it fine, Peter, if we can just conclude? So thank you very much. Thank you, because you were brilliant, all three of you. And we had this very decent session, like a double. So thanks a lot, and to you who participated, and for all your comments and questions. It was really great session, I have to say. Thank you.